Right, we'll start inshallah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidina Rasulillah. Okay, so first and foremost, Ramadan, fasting. This is a fasting guide for you guys, right? So what is fasting? Fasting is to abstain during the day from eating, drinking, and intimate relations, whether intentionally or by mistake. So eating and drinking is anything that goes through the body cavities, through those body cavities which invalidates the fast. So the mouth, the stomach, and this is stomach through open wound. It doesn't mean your stomach here, because most people have just got subcutaneous fat surrounding it. So you're not going to get directly into the stomach anyway. The nose, the brain, and it's directly through the brain, or up the nose like that, which takes you to the brain, or the rear orifice, where you relieve yourself from. And it must be coupled with an intention, firm in your heart. Now, the time for your intention, first and foremost, is very rare that you won't have an intention for fasting. The time for intention for specifically obligatory fast, i.e. Ramadan, it lasts up to midday. Now, midday is the time from the entry point of Fajr all the way until Maghrib. So you divide that, whatever the midpoint is, then that is the midday point in Islam. It's not just before Dhuhr time. There is a difference. And we worked that out the last time, didn't we? When Brother Sajjam was adamant that no, it's just before that time. Also, for specifically necessary fasts, so one that you have a wish for, that which you've taken an oath for. The Sunnah fast, the 9th and 10th, and recommended fasts, and any other fasts, so Mondays or Thursdays. So the midday point, this is where you make the intention. The intention for a non-specifically obligatory fast, so such as a qada fast, one that you're making up that you broke, and a non-specifically necessary fast that you have taken a vow to perform or a pledge to perform. These three, must be made before the beginning of Fajr time. Okay, so you have the difference here. It is an obligation for any sane Muslim, mature person who is free from haid, which is menstruation, and nifas, postnatal bleeding, to keep a fast. We've already discussed in the zakat one what makes you reach the age of puberty. What is the cause? The cause for the fard ones is the entry of Ramadan. And it's a general cause which renews every year. So you don't make an intention for one Ramadan and that's enough for you for the rest of your life. No, for each Ramadan, it's a renewal of the obligation. And each day in Ramadan is an obligation to fast that day and a new act of worship. So you need a new intention. Because otherwise, if you ruined one day of fasting in Ramadan, you would be ruining all of your days of fasting in Ramadan. And that's not what it is. If you become Muslim or mature on that day, then you must fast the remainder of that day of the month and the rest of the fasts, not the ones that were before. You don't make up those. You must make up qada fasts of Ramadan which have already gone past. Right? So if you have missed any fast from Ramadan from previous years, you must make those up. They are a debt upon you. You must have knowledge of fasting. So anybody who's living in a non-Muslim land and two upright people have not informed them that is an obligation to fast, then there is two upright Muslims have not informed you that you have to fast, then you don't have to fast. But if two or more have informed you, then you must keep your fast. In a Muslim land, there is no excuse. And the Sahibain actually say that the two Muslims don't even need to be, the upright people don't even need to be upright. If somebody is of ill health, they are pregnant, and the woman is pregnant and she's worried that it's going to harm the baby, then she doesn't have to fast. Someone of severe ill health does not have to fast. Someone who is breastfeeding, the woman who's breastfeeding and she's worried that she can't produce enough milk because they need to consume water and food to produce the milk, or she's worried that it's having an adverse effect on her health, then there's no obligation upon her to fast. Though, when these people recover, or the woman starts gives birth after the postnatal bleeding, and after she's finished breastfeeding, which maximum is of 2 years, then she will be obligated to make up those fasts that she's missed. There is no obligation on a traveler to fast if they leave the city boundaries before the entry of Fajr time. If they are still within the city when Fajr time enters, then they have to fast, right? So that is the difference. The conditions, you have to make an intention. You must be free from anything contrary to fasting. So feminine bleeding. And you must be free from all things which break the fast. So if you've got a fat doner kebab in your mouth, and the time of Fajr comes in, and you're still munching on it, and you say, yeah, I'm fasting, you're not fasting. Because why? You're not free from those things which invalidate your fast. You being in a state of impurity going into the fast does not invalidate. So, for example, you're married, you have marital relations before Fajr time, and you haven't gone and done ghusl yet. This does not prevent you from entering a state of fasting. You can still enter the state of fasting, but you would have to do ghusl later to enter your prayer. There are different types of fasts. You have the obligatory fasts, which are the fard, which are previous and current Ramadan fasts. You have the wajib fasts. These are the expiatory fasts for somebody who breaks an oath, etc. Put your hand up at the right time, didn't you? Go on.
Basically, before that, you only said you have to do ghusl fasting, but also you got to like gargle and
Okay, so the question is, how do you do ghusl if you're fasting? Because you can't gargle, you can't take it up to your nose. Okay, so when you are not fasting, you will gargle and you take it up to your nose, the soft part of your nose, because this is sunnah to do. But whilst you are fasting, that's not what you have to do. It's enough for you to rinse your mouth and rinse your nose without taking it to the soft part, because it's sunnah. The fard is to just rinse your mouth and keep your nose, blow out your nose as well. Okay. Then you have the vowed fasts and the broken voluntary fasts. These are all wajib fasts. Then you have the sunnah fasts, which are known as a masnoon. So the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram. Included within this are the 9th and the 11th. So depending upon whether you do the 9th and 10th or you do the 10th or 11th of Muharram. It's makruh tanzih, somewhat disliked to fast the 10th of Muharram on its own. Now remember, it's tanzih, it's not tahreem. And this is to differentiate ourselves from the Jews who used to fast, claiming they have a right over Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Then you have the recommended fast. This is to give fast 3 days of every month. These can be the 3 white days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. To do this is like keeping perpetual fast in the collection of Abu Dawood. Mondays and Thursdays. The Prophet ﷺ said, the works of the servants are presented to Allah on Monday and Thursdays, and I like for my works to be presented whilst I am fasting. Collection of Imam Tirmidhi. The 6 fasts of Shawwal, to keep them intermittently in the month of Shawwal, which is the month directly after the month of Ramadan, or you can keep them all together one by one. And if you do this, you get the reward of fasting perpetually. And this is continuous fasting, which is in the collection of Imam Muslim. And to fast every other day. This is the fast of Sayyidina Dawood alayhi salam. And it's the best type of fasting in the collection of Imam Muslim. Then you have voluntary fasts. These are nawafil fasts. And these are the fasts which can be fast any other day, which is not disliked. Those days which you cannot be fasting, is tahreem, is prohibited for you to fast on these days. The days of the 2 Eids, you cannot fast. The days of the Tashriq, which are the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah, these are those So you have Bari Eid, Eid al-Adha. So that day of Big Eid, you're not allowed to fast. And then the 3 days after it, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, you're not allowed to fast those days either. It's mentioned in Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab gives the khutbah, and he said, it's forbidden for you to fast on these 2 days. First, break the fast and celebrate your festival. And on the second, we eat the meat from our sacrifice. This is why we don't fast on these 2 days. It is disliked, prohibited to fast for your entire life. There's a minority opinion that it is disliked to fast on a Friday, but Imam Abu Hanifa said it's actually a virtuous day for you to fast on a Friday. The day of the Nayrouz, you're familiar with that, right? Yeah, your people in Iraq do, don't they? Yeah, because they're influenced by the Persians, isn't it? That's why those, those trousers they wear. That's like, it's more Persian, Farsi. Those people do wear it. It's the first day of the Persian spring. It's the new year. They used to fast, so we don't fast there. It's prohibited. The Mahrajan, which is the equinox, when night and day are equal in length, that's when they used to fast. So it is prohibited to fast on these days as well. However, if you don't know that it is the day of Nayrouz or the Mahrajan, which is the first day of the spring Persian New Year, and you don't know it's the equinox, which most people don't know, and you keep a fast, then there's no issue with it. But if you keep it knowing that this is the days and it's coinciding with it, then you're not allowed to keep that fast. Fasting continuous days without iftar, without breaking it, and without sahur. This is impermissible as well. Saturday is all good to fast as long as you know that you are not emulating the kuffar. Casual and coincidental fasting, which coincides with the kuffar, there's no issue with it. Because the Yom Sabt is Saturday, right? Yeah, Yom Sabt is Saturday, and this is the day that the Jews would fast, and the Sabbath, right? So that's why some said that it's disliked to fast on a Saturday, but that's not the majority view. Yes.
Is it approved to fast just on Friday by itself, or is that more Shafi thing?
No, there's no issue with Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said there's no issue with fasting Friday on its own. There is some discussion around it, but the khulasa is it's all good because Friday is a good day to fast. Now, the intention, all fasts require an intention. The qada fasts, qada of nafal fasts, so the making up of broken nafal fasts, kafara expiation fasts, and unspecified vowed fasts. So an unspecified vowed fast is, oh Allah, if I recover, I will fast a day. So your intention to honor that day. These types of fasts, you have to make the intention after Maghrib, the night before, all the way till before Fajr of that day. That's when you have to make the intention. Then you have those where you can make the intention from Maghrib the night before, all the way up until the midday point that I've already discussed. These are Ramadan fasts, specified days, vowed fast. So on Monday, somebody says, I'll fast on Thursday. Voluntary fast. You just say, no, wait to Psalm, then I'm fasting. If you're a resident and you intend another fast, then it is the Ramadan fast that is accepted. If you are a traveler and you intend another wajib fast, then should we skip this bit? Let's skip this bit because I don't think you really need to know. Because the khulasa of this one is, so students of knowledge, if you want to know the details, then attend a class of sacred knowledge. This is Ramadan made easy. So very simple on this one is, if you're gonna fast in the month of Ramadan, make the intention to fast the month of Ramadan. Don't make the intention to fast another one if you're ill or breastfeed. Basically, if you're excused to not fast the month of Ramadan, and you say, I'm not going to fast the month of Ramadan, but I'm going to fast another fast that was due upon me, like a qada one or one that you made a vow. Don't do this. It makes no sense whatsoever. You're in the month of Ramadan, then just fast the month of Ramadan. Okay. There is a whole discussion on this, but we're skipping past it because of time. Yes.
You have to verbalize your.
You have to verbalize it. No, there's no verbalization. As long as you're firm conviction within your heart, that counts as an intention. But what we do say is, verbalizing it makes it you more sincere. because now it brings it to your mind, it brings it to your mouth, it brings it to your presence. Now you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. So it may help you with your focus and your conscience. Yes.
Let's say I do Sunnah fast on Monday, and I said I'm going to do the Sunnah on Thursday.
Well, it's not fast and showing off.
No. But let's say we get the Wednesday night, and I'm like, I can't go off and do it. Is that fine, or do you have to like?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Do you have to wake up at the same time to eat?
Okay, the question is, do I have to wake up for suhoor to eat? No, it's not an obligation, but it is an emphasized sunnah. It's highly recommended for you to do it. The Prophet ﷺ said there are, the meaning of it, that there are blessings in that pre-dawn meal. And if you do eat it, it will make your day a lot easier.
Your fast is still valid, though.
Yeah, your fast is still valid.
An hour after school to pay Fajr.
Yes, completely fine.
Bless.
Yeah, but just make your intention clear that when you wake up, that, yes, I am fasting. Or just make it before you go to sleep. That, yeah, I'm fasting tomorrow. Yeah. Moon sighting is a communal obligation. Ramadan is established with moon sighting or the completion of the 30 days of Sha'ban. The Prophet ﷺ, the meaning of it said that we do not act upon the calculations of the astrologers or astronomers, right? So those people who follow astronomers and calculations and stuff, they're wrong. They're not right. There's nothing right about it. It's been completely refuted by all of the scholars of old, and to them come up with this evil innovation, they'll be held to account by Allah. You cannot fast the day of doubt. The day of doubt is the 29th of Sha'ban. This is the day before, if the moon sighted for the month of Ramadan. But now, if you fast it with the intention that it's a firm nafal fast, then there's no issue with you doing it. But if you fast it with the intention, it might be Ramadan, so I'm keeping it that if it's Ramadan, then I'm going to keep this fast and count it as a month of Ramadan. But if it's not, then I'm keeping it as a fast of the 29th. No, you can't do that. If you have a first firm one where you're saying, yes, 29th, so I'm keeping the fast, then there's no issue with it. If there's an obstruction in the sky, like clouds, and you can't see the moon, and one upright person comes and tells you that the moon has been sighted, then this is sufficient. For Shawwal, to establish the Eid al-Fitr, so the first day of Shawwal, to signify the end of the month of Ramadan, and other months, you need 2 free males, or 1 male and 2 females, to bring you news of it. If there is no obstruction in the sky, there is a large body of Muslims will need to tell you that the moon has been sighted. And Qadi Abu Yusuf puts the large body at 50 people. So if there's no obstruction in the sky, 50 people need to give it you, the sighting, to confirm it with you that the moon has been sighted. Otherwise, it still carries on being the month of Ramadan and you complete the full 30. If you see the moon for Ramadan alone and the Qadi rejects it, then you must fast alone. However, if you see the moon for the month of Shawwal for Eid and nobody else has seen it and the Qadi rejects it, then you cannot break your fast. You must still keep fasting, because now those people who are with you in the community, they are still fasting and you will be causing fitna by not fasting. Right? So you walking around like doing Eid, you can't do that. The Hanafi position is global sighting. The Prophet ﷺ said, fast when you see it and break it when you see it. Now, here, fast when you see it, some people who follow astronomical calculations, they try to use this Hanafi position to prove that, look, you don't have to sight the moon. You can use whatever method to establish when the moon is sighted. The hadith clearly states, fast when you see it. It says when you see it. So that means that, yes, you fast when you see it, but whichever way, wherever it's seen is general and it's inclusive of all people. So whoever sees it, then you can act upon it. But that does not mean that you don't cite it at all and say, oh, we're going to move with the times and we're going to follow astronomical calculations. These were there in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and he clearly rejected it. So now to misguide people, again, all of these people's fasts are on these people's heads. You can use optical aids to locate the moon, but then you must observe it with your actual eye, right? Because it says fast when you see it. By using an optical aid, you're not seeing it, the optical aid is seeing it, if that makes sense. Now, what invalidates the fast? It was split into two categories. You have those which require qada, and they require an expiatory payment, expiation, compensation must be paid. If you eat or drink something of nutritional value, which is customarily eaten, purposely, you do this. And this within this will include the saliva of the wife, eating any nutritional soil, or any unnutritional object, which one is in the habit of eating. Or if you get rainwater on your lips or salt and you swallow it, then for these, you will have to make up the prayer and you have to pay compensation. If you do any of these after cupping, backbiting, then you have to give kafara as well. Though if you're told by the scholar or you act upon the hadith, then there's no compensation to be paid. You only make qada. But if you knew the meaning of the hadith and you're just trying to trick yourself and deceive people, then for this, you have to make the compensation as well. So one of the conclusions that you should come to in this is don't try to deceive the creator, right? Because you're never going to get anywhere. If you have intimate relations with another human in either of the two passages purposely, then you have to give the kafara, and you have to make up the fast as well. We've got a couple of kids here, so they're giggling. A woman who is coerced by a husband, for example, Ahmed's calling you. Constantly, let's bring them back. Back. Okay, so a coerced woman, there's no kafara due upon her, but she has to make up the prayer. But if she complies willingly, then she has to make up the fast and she has to pay the compensatory payment as well. What is the expiation? And it goes in order. Number one, you have to free a slave. Good luck trying to do that now. Or if you can't do that, then you fast 2 consecutive months. And it has to be consecutive months in Islamic terms. So 29 days or 30 days, depending upon the moon sighting. It cannot be obstructed by a day of Eid or any break due to health or whatever. For a woman, when she menstruates, she can have those days off, but straight away, as soon as she finishes, she becomes pure, she must jump straight back onto the fasting. If they're unable to do this, then the expiation is to feed 60 poor people 2 meals a day, or 60 poor people half a sa'a, so 2 kg of wheat or flour, or 4 kg of 1 sa'a of dates or barley, or its value to each person. Given the monetary value is better, and 1 expiation suffices many of the expiations that you have already done. So 1 will wipe out the rest, and that is £300 per violation that you do. So if you have done about 20 in the past, you give £1 £300, inshallah, it will wipe it out. But remember, this is legally, but spiritually, you must truly repent to Allah as well. Now, the next year or a few years down the line, you break it again, you have to do qada, but you have to make the expiatory payment again. So that's another £300. If you forgetfully do something, there's no expiation, and it doesn't invalidate it either. If you see somebody eating or drinking whilst they're fasting, and they're really weak, then you should stay quiet. Don't remind him or her. But if they are well and they're healthy and they start drinking and eating in front of you, then you need to remind them. Because Allah fed and gave drink to that person because they needed it. And the collection in Bukhari. Now, what only requires qada and no expiatory payment? Using a suppository in either passage. Women using a tampon. It's not allowed during fasting. Or inserting anything else into this body cavity. Something not normally eaten or something for a medical purpose, like dirt or something like a medicine, reaching the body cavity. Accidentally swallowing water, e.g. through wudu or ghusl. Being forced to break a fast. You have to do qada for all of these. Emitting intimate fluid without intimate relations through either of the two passages. This requires qada. If somebody's asleep and you pour water into their mouth, then please don't do this. Some people might do it as a prank, innit?
It's a deadly prank.
Yeah, it is, but it happens. You haven't been to madrasa, man. They do some mad pranks on each other. Like praying knock on door run at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, why are you even awake? We have to be up at 6 o'clock. Right? But kids, innit? So in that case, there has to be qada made. Self-induced vomiting. Abu Yusuf said, only when it's a mouthful, then you have to do qada. Or natural vomit, but the person purposely swallows it back. For wudu, only a mouthful or more invalidates the wudu, less it doesn't. Intentionally inserting water or oil or drops into the ear. Now, there's a difference of opinion. Some say that will only invalidate your fast if you have a perforated eardrum. If your eardrums are sound, then it will not invalidate your fast. A traveler who breaks his fast whilst he's traveling, this will require qada, it will not require expiation. But it's providing he's out of the city boundaries and he's actually doing the travel distance or more. If he's doing less, then it will require compensation. Water or oil entering either of the two passages, so you must be careful with the istinja as well. What does not invalidate? Eating or drinking or intimate relations forgetfully, emitting intimate fluid without interaction, with yourself or another person. Vomiting, cupping, and discharge do not invalidate your fast. Eye drops, eyeliner do not invalidate the fast, even if you can feel the taste in your throat. Cupping, backbiting, it does not invalidate the fast, though backbiting, etc., will diminish the reward of your fast. Being intimate or dreams which give you discharge do not invalidate the fast. So if someone has a wet dream, it will not invalidate the fast. But for you to perform your prayer, you would have to go and do ghusl. Swallowing your own mucus or your saliva, it will not invalidate the fast. Someone who passes out, falls unconscious for part of Ramadan, or even the entirety of the period of Ramadan, he is liable to make up those fasts. Somebody who is insane for part of the month of Ramadan, he's liable to make it up. But somebody who goes insane for the entire month is not liable to make that month of Ramadan up. Who are the excused people from fasting? We have those who are travelers, expectant mothers, breastfeeding women, sick people. They can leave. You can leave or break your fast if you have fear of sickness or some harm coming to you, or you have fear of your sickness based upon previous experience or because of advice from a upright Muslim doctor, right? So all of these kind of things, then you are excused, but you would have to make it up later. Yes.
Exception of travel. So if I go to London
for
the day, my travel.
Yeah, but look how easy it is for travel. So spiritually, you should try to still keep the fast. But if you're still in the city and Fajr time enters, then you're obligated to fast. Yeah, then you're required to fast. Yeah. But if you leave before Fajr time enters, and it's Ramadan now, so you 4 a.m. and Fajr comes in about 4:50 a.m. and it's Ramadan, now you don't have to fast. Right? So now you've got a choice. But it's better for you to fast because it's easy for us now. Travel in those days, they were on, peak heat, and it was, camels and all of that. So that's why it was a difference. Yes.
Also, like going to different countries. Like, for example, I went on a ship in those.
Yeah.
I kept my Rosa while I was on the plane.
Who's Rosa? Why are you keeping her? Sorry, man. That joke. Yeah.
I opened it on the plane because they're telling me. Do you think that that's the right thing to do, or
Yeah. So you open your fast wherever you are, and on an aeroplane, it's like the perfect place to identify whether Maghrib's coming or not. You can see the horizon, right? So what we can do is, especially if you're going on a flight which has a screen, because obviously everything's in front of you, so you can see where you're traveling. So before you go in, you should be able to have a vague idea of which countries you're going past, and just pre-plan, write down, okay, what's Maghrib in all of these countries, right? Just have it written down in your phone, and then you just look on the screen, where am I flying over now? And then look on your phone. That's the easiest way. Or an more easier way than that is just look out the window. And if you can't see the sun on that side, it's more than likely going to be on the other side. Then just go to the back of the plane. And you know where the doors are? Just look from the windows there, and you'll be able to see it. Jump onto the plane, the wing. Yeah. If you can, just pray on the airplane. Yeah, I pray on the airplane all the time. Some of them are trying to be like, they've tried to kick off and like say, "Oh no, you're not allowed." But once you're in the middle of your prayer, they can't say anything to you. So, no, go right to the back. Go right to the back. Just put those little blankets that you give you. Put that on the floor. Just quickly pray and just go back to your seat. But in that circumstance, just pray your fard.
The back of the plane's a bar.
Hey?
The back of the plane, right?
Listen, mate, not everyone plays business, Everyone flies business like you. No, I've got a bar. But even on business, they'll give you a place. They look after you more on business. So they don't try to say no to you. Yeah, because they know. So they'll be like, oh, you can pray right here, and they'll give you. EasyJet have let me pray. Jet2 have let me pray. Even Brian has let me pray. Ryanair. Who else is there?
So the Muslim ones are word.
It's the Muslim ones who have an issue, believe it or not. Qatar always has an issue. Emirates are nice. Emirates don't never stop you. Saudi Airlines actually have a prayer area in the back. Yeah, they actually have a prayer area. Who else is there? I think Turkish. We had to do missions, man. We had to just, me, him, and Rayhan, when we went, we had to just make a little border around each other on Qatar. It was like these two just stood there, and I quickly prayed. Then he went, and then he prayed, and then we stood there, and then he went, and then we stood in front of each other, and then one by one we just prayed. Because it's like you're not causing a hardship to anybody, right? Because everyone else is just chilling at the back, having a laugh and a joke. Oh, let's have a drink and a jolly and all of that. But you got a problem with me praying, right? So that's when it comes to the thing that it's like, listen, no, there's no issue. There's no health and safety issue with me praying. You've just got a problem with the praying. By the way, side note, I think I worked out where those marks come from. It's the sun ray damage. I think it's the sun. Because all the rays are going that way, look. So we need to there's a UV ray protection sprays that you can get. I think we should put it on the window as well. Yeah, because that's what's doing it. Right, going back. When to refrain. Okay, so if you break your fast, you must abstain from fasting for the rest of the day. If you're a traveler and you've now become resident, then you should refrain from eating and drinking for the rest of the day when you come back into the city. A woman who becomes pure from menstruation or nifas, she must refrain from eating and drinking for the rest of the day. However, if she starts her menstruation and nifas, then she must refrain from eating and drinking for the rest of the day. No, then she doesn't refrain, sorry. So if she finishes, then she refrains. if she just starts, then she will not refrain, because then she's impure from the state of fasting, etc., and she's emulating a act of worship which she's not allowed to do. And obviously, if they were allowed, then they're causing themselves hardship. You're already losing all that blood, and then you're not eating and drinking. So there's someone who say, well, what do you mean? You're calling them impure and stuff. No, man, this is the mercy of Allah. You know what I mean? It's telling the woman, no, you're not allowed. The mercy. So you have to read between the lines. If somebody enters puberty after Fajr or becomes a Muslim after Fajr, then they must refrain from eating and drinking. What is not disliked, sorry. Doing hijama or going to the gym, going for a jog, whatever, participating in MMA, all of these kind of things, heavy work, as long as it does not weaken you. Using the siwak, the miswak, it's not disliked. Rinsing the mouth and the nose, taking a bath is not disliked either. What is disliked is to taste food without reason. Now, tasting here is you taste it on the tongue, then you spit it out. It would not be disliked if the woman has a oppressive husband, right? And she's worried that he might get angry if the food is not good. It is disliked to use toothpaste to brush your teeth, because and this one is somewhat disliked, because there is the risk of you swallowing the toothpaste. But if you use them minor amounts and you lean forward and just quick brush, spit it out, then there's no dislike. Chewing without reason, obviously not chewing gum, because now you're swallowing the flavors from it and stuff. Being intimate with the spouse, if you're not sure that it's going to lead to something, so there is a chance that it might lead to you breaking your fast. This is disliked. However, if you're 100% certain that it's not going to lead to you breaking your fast, then there's no issue with you being intimate with your spouse. Gathering saliva in your mouth and then swallowing it is disliked. Going to the gym, playing football and all of these physical activities, if it's going to weaken you, is disliked. Only having water for suhoor is disliked. Delaying or not having suhoor at all is disliked. Delaying the suhoor meal close to Fajr time, such that you're risking going over, then this is disliked as well. Rushing to open the fast or delaying to open it on a cloudy day is disliked. What are the recommended actions? It's the opposite of everything that I've just said. Fidya. Any old, frail person or ill person who will never recover or become healthy, they have to give half a sa'a, or the monetary value of it, the wheat, which is about 2 kg, as a expiatory payment. It's a compensation. That works out to £5 per fast. So for a whole of Ramadan, it will be £150. But if they recover from this illness sometime in the future, then this will be written down as sadaqah for them, and they must make up those fasts. If you break your fast, a voluntary fast, so any fast outside of Ramadan, then the expiation of it is that you must make it up. Then you have Laylatul Qadr. This is what Surah Qadr was revealed about. In it, it is a night which is better than 1,000 months. Search for it on the odd nights. And the nights before the 2 Eids, these are nights of acceptance of dua as well. Now for us, the established position is Laylatul Qadr is on the 27th night of Ramadan. So this is why we all gather, so don't miss this night. Very briefly on itikaf, for brothers, it is only in a masjid and it requires intention. For sisters, the best place for them is in their own chambers, in their own bedroom, or a designated area in the house where they are not being distracted from anything. You don't have to be sat behind a curtain. You don't have to be in that position where you're not allowed to speak to anybody and stuff like that, but you should refrain from worldly talk. You have 3 types of itikaf. You have the mandatory, which is the wajib. This is when you vow to perform it. Whether this is in Ramadan or outside Ramadan, you must couple this with fasting. Then you have the Sunnah Kafaya ones. These are one the Prophet ﷺ did. And these are the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And these must be coupled with fasting as well. Then you have the Mustahab, the recommended ones. This is any other type of itikaf. And the minimum of this is just a moment. So every time you enter a masjid, you should just say, Nawaitu Sunnatul Itikaf. So every time you enter the masjid, that entire time that you spend in the masjid, it is written down as itikaf for you. The rules are you cannot leave the masjid except for a reason. And it must be a valid reason, such as a natural need to relieve yourself or go to perform ghusl, etc. Or you're coerced to move, to go there. Or you're in a position where, in a masjid where there's no Jummah. So you leave to go to a bigger masjid to perform the Jummah, and then you come back. Remaining silent is actually disliked if you consider it to be a part of the itikaf. It's invalidated by intimate relations. So if a man enters on his wife who's in itikaf and they have intimate relations, now the itikaf has been invalidated. If she enters, starts a menstruation, then her itikaf has been invalidated. For a vowed fast, a vowed itikaf, they must be for a full day and full night. Even if you just mention the night, it must be consecutive with the day as well. So that's fasting, that's zakat, that's itikaf, that's sadaqatul fitr, that's fidya, that's Laylatul Qadr in a portion of 2 hours. Do we have any questions now before we close? But any other questions, just hop onto the Instagram. It's been divided into 2 Ramadan highlights. There's a zakat highlight. There is an itikaf highlight, I believe, as well. So any other questions that you have, just refer to there. Brothers watching online, sisters watching online, do you have any questions before we close? No. وما علينا إلا بلاغ المبين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.